What is going on with ZCash? In the last year, most altcoins went down, ZCash outperformed, but it seems like the trend is turning around. Have a look at this. This is the performance this year, but here is the performance this month. ZCash tends to trend down, and it seems like that downtrend is accelerating. Here's the performance this week. It's the worst performer among the top 100 altcoins. It looked like the sky is the limit after we have crossed a resistance. This is the ZCash US dollar price. We tended to see lower lows and the tops also aligned, and it looked like we just crossed a resistance, hoping for a continued rally. But maybe that approach is too complex and it's simply just tops that are aligning. And we might just witness another pump and subsequent dump, as you have seen several times in the past. Now, I actually do not like to look at US dollar prices because there's so much correlation within crypto. When Bitcoin goes up, then the altcoins go up as well. When Bitcoin crashes, most altcoins come down as well. So when an altcoin goes down in US dollars, this can simply just be the macro environment not being that great. So that's why I look at relative valuations. How is an altcoin doing relative to other metrics? For example, during that time period when ZCash went sideways, the altcoin market cap tended to expand. If you now look at ZCash relative to the altcoin market, we get a very different chart. ZEC was a money-burning project. From top to bottom, we round this up to minus 100%. Then something changed. I'm not showing the complete chart here. It looked like we found a bottom. Starting in April of 2024, ZCash slowly outperformed the rest of the altcoin market. And that's when the real rally developed. So the story of the US dollar chart is very different to the story of the relative valuation chart. Or in other words, while here the rally was just the general altcoin market going up, this time it's an idiosyncratic rally. This is specific to ZCash, not due to Bitcoin, Ethereum or the altcoins going up. Here's the market cap of ZCash over time. It peaked at 10 billion, now we are down to 6 billion, and it looks like the tops are aligning relatively well. Is history going to repeat itself again with a massive pump and subsequent dump? And have we just started that dump now? There is a fascinating development. This here is the open interest on ZCash. So how many bets are made on the price with leverage using the perpetual futures market? The top in 2021 was somewhere around $60 million. Over the next 5 years, that has 20x'd. The amounts of short-term bets on ZCash have 20x'd. Now, the US dollar price did not 20x. The US dollar price has only doubled. In other words, open interest or speculative capital in the asset grew 10 times quicker than the asset price itself. Now, why does this matter? It matters because open interest is correlated to the price as well. So the more bets are made on a particular asset, the higher the spot price tends to go. When then there's less bets on the price, when then the attention moves to another asset, and the spot price tends to also follow and go down. We can see this effect when we zoom in a little bit. So let's have a look at 2020 to 2023. The connection is undeniable. The more bets there are on ZCash, the higher the spot price goes. The less bets there are, the lower the spot price goes. And this is the big danger of ZCash right now. Yes, the asset has broken a long-term downward trend versus the rest of the altcoin market, but there's a ton of speculative short-term capital that can move very quickly somewhere else. Have a look at the following on-chain data. This is the number of ZCash transactions over time, a very long-term chart starting in 2017. And every now and then we get those activity spikes. But then activity goes back down again. The recent spike is the largest we have ever seen, but we did again come down. This is a very different development to, say, for example, Ethereum, which has a very long-term adoption curve, or Bitcoin, same thing. The number of transactions tends to long-term go up. ZCash gets its attention, which then subsequently dies back down again. This is the classical chart of a potential bubble, right? A very quick run up and subsequently a decline. This again just ZCash relative to Bitcoin on a linear scale. Here's the same chart on a logarithmic scale. So we have our lower highs. Potentially, we will see a lower low as well. We are currently in the middle of a trading range. So the sell-off we have seen in the last days might just be the beginning. Zcash could potentially fall another 35% versus Bitcoin, maybe by the end of the month or so. There's definitely enough short-term capital that could potentially leave the asset to justify such a decline. I'm not saying that we're going to go back into this long-term downward trend again, but I am saying that the current elevated prices are probably not going to prevail for very long. Again, the market cap seems already quite high, and there's a good chance for it to fall further. I do not have a crystal ball either. I do not know where Zcash is going from here. I'm simply just sharing the data as I see it, and I think that the likelihood of ZEC going down from here is higher than the likelihood that it will go up from here. If you got something out of this video, then feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. Feel free to also check out the premium membership. A link to premium pops up here on the screen. This is where you can automatically copy trade me. You can simply deposit capital, and then whatever trade I open will automatically be reflected in your performance. This was the capital pool in 2025. Bitcoin fell by 25% over this 5-month period, and we made some money. We only ran the pool for 5 months. We started in summer of last year. Annualized, our performance after fees is roughly 40%. So feel free to check it out. The link to premium is also down below. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Cheers.